Welcome to Beginning Ancestry Library Edition. The goal of this class is to introduce you to some of Ancestry Library Edition's most popular features and to offer you some tips and techniques to help you make best use of the billions of records available on Ancestry Library Edition. Ancestry Library Edition is Ancestry's public use library subscription. It is made available to library customers at no charge through many libraries and genealogy research facilities. A brief overview of this database is available on the MGC website, MidwestGenealogyCenter.org, in the More Info link, accessed by following the steps shown at the bottom of this slide. Mid-Continent Public Library account holders, this is also the path you will follow to access the database itself, selecting the Browse Databases button in the Genealogy Research tile on the MGC homepage, and then selecting Ancestry Library Edition from the collection of genealogy databases displayed. Make sure you have your library card handy. At some point, you will be asked to enter your library card number to proceed. Ancestry Library Edition is typically an in-library use only database, meaning you will most often have to visit the library or research facility to use this database. While the record collections accessible through both Ancestry Library Edition and Ancestry.com are largely the same, there are other significant differences between the two databases. Again, Ancestry Library Edition is the free version available through many libraries and genealogy research centers. While using Ancestry Library Edition, you can review and print or save records like census, immigration, and many vital records, but you cannot upload your personal information or create a family tree in the library edition of this database. You will also be able to view the public trees others have created, but you do not have access to any tree owner's contact information unless you are a paid Ancestry.com subscriber. Remember that to access Ancestry Library Edition, you will have to start with your library's website, not Ancestry.com. Ancestry.com is a paid subscription database designed for individual personal use. Ancestry.com users can upload and maintain family trees and collaborate with other subscribers. Ancestry.com also has other features such as Ancestry Academy, a large collection of tutorial videos, and tabs that connect you to Ancestry products such as Ancestry DNA and Ancestry Health. The Passenger and Immigration List Index, also known as PHLBIS, is also available through the .com Ancestry, but not on Ancestry Library Edition. The Ancestry Library Edition homepage includes 2 access points to general searches and a number of tiles and quick links that access specific data collections, such as the U.S. Federal Census, vital, military, and immigration records. As you can see on this slide, and other records, such as public member trees, city directories, and more. We're going to begin our first demonstration at the green Begin Searching box to get a better look at some of the search options you will have while using Ancestry Library Edition. The green Begin Searching button on the Ancestry Library Edition homepage takes us to this search page where we'll begin the search for our ancestor in one of three ways. Briefly, these search options allow you to search all categories. See star number 1. To explore records by location at star number 2. And to explore records by collection or collection group at star number 3. Let's look at each of these individually, beginning with number 1, and all categories search. For today's demonstrations, we're going to focus our searches on two famous Walters, Walter Disney and Walter Cronkite. We begin our all-category search by filling in Walt Disney's first and last name and his place of birth, Chicago, Illinois. As you type the name of a place like Chicago, Ancestry Library Edition will offer suggested county, state, and country names to complete the entry as shown in the drop-down here. Since different types of records were collected and maintained by different entities, we want to always try to provide the full listing of city, county, state, and country if applicable whenever possible. And Ancestry Library Edition's drop-down menu can help us do just that. We can either begin our search of Ancestry Library Edition's databases with just Walt's name and place of residence, or we can click on the words Show More Options, shown in blue next to the blue search button, to expand the search window that allows us to add more search parameters such as names of parents, spouse, siblings, and/or children, or additional dates and places that pertain to that ancestor. Here is a helpful note. The more information you provide, the fewer results you'll receive. This can be helpful if your ancestor had a common name and you need to target your results, but do not feel you must fill in every blank. Sometimes less is more. If you are unsure of your ancestor's birth year, you can also use the birth year calculator next to the birth year box to let Ancestry Library Edition do the math for you. It will prompt you to fill in your ancestor's age at a specific point in time, and then it subtracts to approximate a date of birth for that ancestor. For example, Disney was 65 years old when he passed away in 1966. By plugging this information into the birth year calculator, the computer will estimate Walt's year of birth as 1901. Ancestry Library Edition's search engine is set up to display the most relevant results first. To look more closely at one of the records, we can hover over the blue title to see a preview of the information in the record, or click on the blue title to open the record for full viewing. Before we look at one of Walt's results, however, let's talk filters. Since our initial basic search gave us over 8,000 results, we're probably going to want to go back and either provide more information about Walt to cast off some unrelated results, or use the filters shown to the left of the screen to focus the results on a specific record category, location, or date of interest to our research. We can easily add search parameters by clicking on the pencil or the edit icon shown circled on this slide. This will allow us to provide additional information about our Walt, such as the names of his parents, siblings, wife, or children, or dates and places of marriage, death, or other key events. In this same search filters section, we could also adjust the bullseye settings to require the results to more exactly match the spelling of Walt's name or the place of birth we've already provided. Right now, those bullseyes are set to broad, allowing the computer to display results that are mostly what we've specified. As we drag the bullseye to the right, we direct the computer to get increasingly more selective with the results displayed. Remember, however, that spelling and geographic locations are often inconsistently recorded in genealogical research, so be very careful when selecting exact matches. Bullseyes to the far right in searches like this. It is typically not a good idea. Before we move on, these results offer an interesting reminder of the challenges of genealogy. The top 2 Cook County, Illinois birth certificates index results show our Walt listed with the correct parents, Flora Call and Elias Disney, and a December 30th, 1890 date of birth. The third entry is our Walt's World War II draft registration, listing his brother, Roy O. Disney, his 1942 Los Angeles residence, and a December 5th, 1901 date of birth. When we discuss the need to be flexible later in this presentation, please remember this example. This slide shows the information initially displayed when we selected the World War II draft card entry from the results of our Walter Disney search. Please note 3 things. 1. The indexed result shown here includes the image of the original document in the top left, which you can open and view in Ancestry Library Edition. While the indexed non-handwritten version is easier to read, you should always take advantage of the opportunity to read the original for additional information and possible errors in the indexing process. Number 2, the Source Citation tab, circled in red, lets us know the owner of the original record. In this case, the National Archives and Records Administration, also known as NARA. If the image was not available to view immediately, we might be able to use this source citation to locate the original for viewing elsewhere. Number 3, if you decide that you want to keep this result for your collection, you can save the indexed record by clicking on the green Send Document button, which sends this record to the email you provide. You can also print the indexed record using your computer's print function, Control+P or Command+P for Macs, or you can print to PDF to save this record electronically. Finally, you can also click on the print link at the top right to access and print or save a printer-friendly version of this same information. Before we move on to our next Walter, let's take a look at Walt Disney's original World War II draft registration document and discuss some of the Ancestry Library Edition tools available for use when viewing original documents. Let's look at the X's and arrows. The X shown in the top left corner of this image will return you to the indexed version of this result, and your browser's left-facing arrow, not shown here, will take you back to the list of results for this particular search. Images like this draft registration are typically portions of microfilm or fish, which, thanks to the indexing process, call up as search results based on the information provided in the search. Carets, arrows, to the left and right of the image allow you to scroll forward or backward through the microfilmed images to view information on the preceding and following pages. This is particularly important with census records, where you'll want to review a few pages ahead and behind your ancestors' entries to see who else lived in the neighborhood. Next, let's check out the toolbar. The most often used tools on the right side toolbar are the plus, minus, or enlarge, reduce tool, and the tools or wrench icon, where you will go to print, download, or modify the appearance of an image. In the top right corner of an original image like this draft registration, you'll see a Save button, which allows you to email a link to this original document to yourself or others from Ancestry, or to save the image to your computer. New users quickly learn that your computer's Control or Command P shortcut does not always print the desired results when working with original images in Ancestry Library Edition. To print or download original images in this database, you need to select the Tools icon discussed previously. Until January 2022, this icon had two crossed tools. Within this icon, you'll find options to help you tailor your print or download as indicated on this slide. Quick note to those new to genealogy and a reminder to the rest of us: always cite your sources. When printing or saving an original document, make sure you record the source of the original document. Do not just note that you got it from Ancestry. Ancestry Library Edition connects us to these resources, but it is not the source of the information. For example, if you save a marriage license, make sure you record the exact county marriage record, volume, and page where the original license was found and subsequently filmed. This source data will allow you or others down the road to retrace your steps and authenticate your research. If you'll remember, we began with the green Begin Searching button on the home page, which took us to this search page where we began our all-category search for Walter Disney. Let's take a brief look at the second type of search available on this page, the Explore by Location search. See star number 2. Note that all 50 states are available for this search, plus the District of Columbia and U.S. territories. Directly under the map, you'll also see links to all the continents except Australia, which is included in the Oceania group, along with the available records for New Zealand, Samoa, Fiji, Tonga, and the Cook Islands. We've selected Missouri to demonstrate the results of a location search. Note that the results shown are the collections available on Ancestry Library Edition for that location, not the people who lived in that location. The results displayed indicate the number of records in each collection title. You can access each collection directly from this list by clicking the blue collection title, or use the collection drop-down menu, partially displayed here to the left, to tailor your search to a specific type of collection for this location. Another way to use this location search is found directly under the name of the location you selected, in this case, Missouri. Clicking the gray link labeled View All Missouri Research Options, circled here in red, will direct you to a different view of these searchable collections, sorted by category and by region. Let's view all Missouri research options to get a better look at this helpful function. So, again, the path we followed to this searchable data collection was Ancestry Library Edition homepage, to begin searching, to explore by location, to Missouri. Then, view all Missouri research options. 2. Missouri Birth, Marriage, and Death Collection. 2. Missouri U.S. Death Certificates 1910 through 1969. 3 things to note. 1. The collections of each location vary greatly, so take the time to explore the collections of the places of most interest to you. 2. In this specific case, the Missouri Death Certificates on Missouri Secretary of State's Missouri Digital Heritage currently extend through 1971. So this might not be the best place to search for your Missouri ancestors' death certificates, but with well over 4 million records, it is a great place to start, and the related data collections noted on the right sidebar may also extend your research considerably. 3. Ancestry is constantly adding records and collections to their database. Remember to check back regularly to see if anything new has been added to the resources for your ancestors' locations. Once more, we're back to the search page, accessed by the green Begin Searching button on the Ancestry Library Edition homepage. We've already completed a general all-category search at star number 1 and explored by location at star number 2. Now let's look at our third option, Explore by collection, shown to the far right at star number 3. Ancestry Library Edition's collections groups are shown here. You can search all categories within a group by clicking on the group heading or target your search on a specific category by selecting a collection within the group. For our next example, we're going to access the U.S. Federal Census collection, found in the Census and Voter Lists group. But before we begin, let's take a moment to discuss the U.S. Federal Census and its use in genealogy. Here are some census basics. Some of you are new to genealogy, so it's worth a moment to address just a few elements of census research. If you are interested in learning more about using the census for genealogy, please access our free Census Records Research class in the online learning section of the MGC website. As of April 1st, 2022, the United States Federal Census from 1790 through 1950 is available for public access, and remaining U.S. federal censuses will become available 72 years after that census was taken. 1850 was the first census to list all household members. 1890 was mostly lost to fire and water damage after the fire. Other censuses include state, territorial, special population censuses like the Indian censuses, slave schedules, non-population schedules, and more. Note that many, but not all, of these other censuses are available on Ancestry Library Edition. Regarding Ancestry Census features, Ancestry Library Edition contains an Every Name Index, which, as we saw with our Walt Disney search, allows us to enter the name of the head of house or other listed household member and then allow the database's search function to locate relevant results for us. Once you identify the search result you need, you can again send, print, or download the index copy, or better still, look at the original census page and send, print, or download that record for your files using the same tools we discussed in our earlier example. Regarding challenges, all censuses come with challenges such as issues with the spelling of names and inconsistencies with the ages and even birthplaces of those who were enumerated. When searching for these records in an online database, you might also encounter issues in the indexing of the information collected so many years ago. Now for solutions. Be flexible. Accept inconsistencies as a part of genealogy. Remember Walt's 1890 and 1901 dates of birth? And get creative if your ancestors appear to go missing for a census or two. Try searching for them by their middle name or look for a family group with the correct given names living in the same household instead of searching by surname. On to our census search demonstration. The images you see on this slide are those displayed immediately after selecting U.S. Federal Census Collection from the Census and Voter List group in the Explore by Collection column found on the right of the Ancestry Library Edition search page. You have the option of searching the entire U.S. Federal Census collection by filling in search fields at the top of the page, shown here on the right, or you can focus your search on a specific census by selecting that census from the list found beneath the search fields on that web page. Our next goal today is to locate Walter Cronkite in the 1930 U.S. Federal Census. We're going to start this search by selecting that 1930 census from the list, and then, since we know that adding too many details may adversely limit the results, we'll enter just Walter's name, birth year of 1916, and state of birth, Missouri, in the search fields. Once we see the number of results we receive, we can always edit the search to add more information to focus the search if necessary. Before we review the results of our search for young Walter, let's talk tips and search options. We have 5 points. Number 1. You can capitalize names or not capitalize them. The results will be the same. 2. Use the match all terms exactly and or select the exact match box, both circled here, with great caution. When you tick these boxes, the search engine will disregard any listings that were not spelled or listed exactly as you entered them in the search fields, making it very possible that you'll never be presented with some records that might have been of use to your research. 3. You can opt to omit the first or middle names, but if you enter only the surname, be prepared to fill in additional fields elsewhere to avoid coming up with too many unrelated results. 4. Be aware that census enumerators recorded what they heard. If your ancestors were immigrants from non-English speaking countries, consider how the enumerator might have spelled the names he heard when he came to gather information for their household. BehindTheName.com is a helpful site for alternate spellings of immigrant names. 5. If you're pretty sure you know where your ancestors lived in a particular census year, but you can't find them there, consider using the Browse This Collection option to the right of the screen. This allows you to call up all the pages of a particular district, city, or county census to perform a page-by-page search of the data collected for that year. While time-consuming, this might be the only way to locate relatives whose names were too poorly written or spelled to be picked up by the indexing process. Ancestry products also allow the use of wildcards in our searches to bypass problematic spelling of names. The asterisk replaces more than one character. Examples are Fran with an asterisk yields results for Fran, Frank, Franny, Frankie, Franny, Francis, etc. And you must provide at least 3 letters to start. A question mark replaces one character. In our example here, you can search for JOHNS ? And that will yield results for Johnson spelled with an O and Johnson spelled with an E. You can even use both wildcards within the same name. So, here are the top 6 of the 11 results from our 1930 U.S. Federal Census search for Walter Cronkite, born 1916 in Missouri. Remember that the Ancestry Library Edition search engine sequences results from best match on down, and, in fact, the first result shows a 13-year-old Walter Cronkite living in Houston in 1930. Since a 13-year-old would have been born around 1916, and since this Walter's birthplace is listed as Missouri, this is looking like a result to review further. Each of the other results differs from our search criteria in birth year, birthplace, etc. As we did with our Walt Disney search, we can 1. Use the mouse to hover over the blue View Record for this first result to see more details. 2. Click on View Record to open the indexed record. Or 3. Go directly to the original image by selecting the blue image at the far right of the listing at the red star. For this example, we're going to click View Record and view the indexed record. Since all Ancestry Library Edition searches function pretty much the same, let's use this Walter Cronkite census result to review some database features previously introduced. Note at star 1. This option allows you to view and then print, download, or save the original record. At star 2, click on Source for the source citation. Where did the original come from? At star 3, here is an option to send the indexed record home via email. At star 4, click this option to print or print to PDF the indexed record. The big Ancestry Library Edition bonus is highlighted by the red box to the far right. Once you select a record to review like this 1930 U.S. Federal Census record, the search engine will, whenever possible, produce a list of suggested records that also match your ancestors' information. While this bonus list must always be scrutinized to ensure that the search engine has, in fact, found additional records for your Walter Cronkite and not another one with a similar name and birth date and place, this suggested records section can help us quickly access and review additional records, potentially extending our research for these ancestors. And it gets better. By now, you might have realized that blue text opens options. I'll say that again. Blue text opens options. After reviewing the suggested records for the then 13-year-old Walter Cronkite, you can select another family member, like, for example, Walter's mother, Helen Cronkite, from the blue list of others living in the household found at the bottom of the record. Once you select Helen's name from this list, her name moves to the top of the screen, and then her information from this same 1930 U.S. Federal Census is displayed. Additionally, the suggested records to the right of the record change to match Helen's information, date, place of birth, etc., allowing us to potentially jump back one more generation in our research. Again, remember that suggested records are just that, suggestions. You will need to review each record to see if it aligns with your other research or not. As you get to know Ancestry Library Edition, you'll learn that there are often a number of different ways to arrive at some results. For example, census records can be accessed in 4 different places from the Ancestry Library Edition homepage, as illustrated on this slide. The upper 2 options open general search pages from which you can perform either all category searches or direct your search to a specific record collection like the census. The lower 2 options will take you directly to searches for U.S. Census records. For our last example, we're going to search for a record set rather than a person. The Ancestry Library Edition card catalog is most easily accessed from the Search drop-down menu at the top of the screen. You can search the catalog for an exact record collection title or use a keyword search, like birth certificates, to see which, if any, related collections can be found in Ancestry Library Edition. You can also filter by collection on the left to narrow your search results to a specific collection group. If you find something of interest, you can then click on the blue title to search that specific collection. Note not only the titles of these record collections, but also the number of records in each to help determine the likelihood of finding your ancestors' records in the collection. By setting the Sort By function in the top right to Date Updated, you can also use the card catalog to monitor new Ancestry Library Edition holdings. This slide outlines some of the larger collections found on Ancestry Library Edition. For example, this database currently includes nearly 1.4 billion searchable U.S. city directories ranging from 1822 through 1995 and well over 700 million school yearbooks. You might like to pause this video here for a moment to read over this list more carefully. Note that some of Ancestry Library Edition's international records are written in the language of that country, such as the birth and baptism records shown here for Mexico and Germany. Ancestry Library Edition helps you learn more about various genealogy topics with their research aids to assist you with short, informative PDFs. Get to them by clicking on Learning Center on the top black navigation bar. Also in the Learning Center, the tab next to Research Aids includes a tab for maps. Click on this and then click on a state. Missouri is pictured here, and Ancestry Library Edition shows you a current county map of the state with county seat cities noted. In the left column, there are helps for various research topics specific for that state, such as vital, probate, land records, and more, where you can find many more details to investigate genealogy in that state. Last but not least, you can take advantage of previously posted information about a variety of family research and genealogy topics by searching the boards for your family name or another topic of choice through the Message Boards tab on the black navigation bar. Your free Ancestry Library Edition access will allow you read-only access to these posts. you must have a paid Ancestry.com account to respond. To access other Ancestry's blogs, social media links, and YouTube videos, go to either of the two links shown on this page. The circled Ancestry blog link can be found at the very bottom of the Ancestry.com, but not Ancestry Library Edition homepage. You do not need an Ancestry subscription to view these posts or tutorials. When you are ready to take the next step, check out other free tutorial videos on the MGC website at midwestgenealogycenter.org. And while you're on the website, click the Events tab on the MGC homepage to register for upcoming virtual classes and programs. Thank you for attending this presentation on Beginning Ancestry Library Edition. Please take a moment to note the Midwest Genealogy Center contact information on this slide, and feel free to let us know how we can be of help to you and your genealogy research in the future.